Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Bots and Billables, and another episode where we try to examine where the billable hour is actually going. Will it go away? Will it disappear? Will it change? What does the future of the legal profession look like? This week we will examine in very short surveys. We have data this week from different sources and different companies who have all published reports. And we will have a quick overview of the Liquid Legal Summit that happened in Düsseldorf, Germany this week, getting everybody together from the European legal technology, AI and innovation scene. This will be the recap for this week. I'm Michael Grupp and I love to catch up with you on the last 7 days in legal, AI and the market. Starting with our first surveys. So if you like to have a discussion about AI, you want to talk about data. We all have gut feeling, we all have our crystal balls and predictions, but let's look into what's really going on in the data, and that's the only thing that can actually help us getting forward. Companies are making an effort to actually gather that for us, but frankly, if companies do, this is going to be biased, okay? So disclaimer, everything we talk about now for the next 5 minutes will be probably biased because it's published by somebody that is also selling services, software, and things to the legal tech community. But the data could still be valuable because, frankly, the only people who really have data in this market are the people who are participating in it. So we have to read the data and then deduct the bias, or best just read data from everybody and then interpret on our own. First survey comes in from Axiom. If you remember Axiom, ALSP provider in the market since probably 15 years now, definitely 10. They launched earlier in the 2010s with a beautiful brand video where everybody said how great Axiom was without actually saying what they were doing, but it was great. Now, Axiom has been quite successful in doing that. A shout out to the team. Axiom has published a report on the AI legal divide, how teams are adopting AI and what really works. It's a report focusing on in-house teams and what is really working. I recommend you just try to get it and read it yourself because it is actually quite helpful. What I liked most about the report was that it gave brutally honest numbers about the divide between teams that have adopted it 1 or 2 years ago versus teams that are still dabbling in finding out. If the report is not extremely biased or exaggerating here, then there is a pretty clear picture of teams that have been successful in buying AI, trying it out, rolling it out, or even building their own solutions, versus companies that have been hesitant to do that. And when I read the report, my initial reaction was, even by showing that you don't even have a solution yet in place, that already tells us something about how you're positioned, because it's the year 2025. And by now, you need to have started something, at least a training camp, a sandbox, your own model. Like you need to, I don't know, have started something. You're not under a rock. So teams that are basically on one camp doing it for 2 years already versus teams that have recently begun, the support metrics are diverging, which is an interesting pattern. There are more interesting views in there, but I like to take that one out because there's something I recently learned or saw, and I like to repeat it, which is, we all think technology works in a democratizing way, basically leveling the playing field. And I don't agree. It is accessible in a more democratized way, meaning that you can get access to technology faster, easier, cheaper, wherever you are. But the effect of technology are actually exponential. If you have AI, you're exponentially faster, better, and better equipped than others. And if you do that, this effect increases further. So by getting access to AI and to technology, this is not leveling the playing field. This is doing the opposite, which means there is a divide in companies that are doing it versus companies who are not doing it, and that divide is growing. And I like to keep thinking about that observation that technology actually isn't like making everything cheaper and easier. It actually makes things better for the people who know how to use them. And that also tells us something about the legal market as a whole, because firms that leverage it have an advantage and will probably be more successful, which means they're probably not going away. Teams within those firms that are successful are not going away, versus teams that are basically hesitant maybe have a disadvantage. I think that's a very interesting one to think about, that technology is not making everything same. The printing press has not made the world equal. It has created a more equal and easier access to knowledge, but the printing press has made people who read smarter. That's very important. So have a look at the Axum report. Very interesting. Then also a very good report published by Caroline Hill, her team at Legal IT Insider, the LITI report on Gen AI and the practice of law. There's a lot to say about the report. Have a look at it yourself. It's very good. It has a funny noise when you flip the pages, so that's funny. It's not a PDF to download. It's like an interactive page viewer. What is interesting, one, it already has a focus on use cases, so we're going beyond the chat and the chat assistants and think about what can we do more. There is a focus on specific use cases that are on the client delivery side, so we are starting to think about how are law firms actually leveraging technology towards their clients. Very interesting. And they go through different things that they are finding, different use cases. Have a look at the state-of-the-art report. This is, I think, like my number one observation on the report is we are talking about ROI now. Let's be honest, the ROI of a chat assistant is maybe also just learning and getting started. Fair enough. Here we have started a conversation about the actual ROI of use cases, and I love seeing that, and the LITI report is actually doubling down on that. Report number 3 is Bickhand, a legal tech company in the market for a while, bigger one. They publish a report on legal workflow leadership report. I think it's incredibly relevant talking about in-house teams. The report focuses on the turnover in firms. My observation in in-house teams is that most teams don't think about letting half the people go using AI. They don't think about, I want to get AI so I can fire people. Full stop. This is not how people think about it. They think about it with a vision in 3 to 5 years, generational change. There's over, people will be retired. How do I compensate for that in a world that is increasingly complex and regulated and I need more people? Like do more with the same or do more with less people in 5 years, in 10 years. So you may argue that the speed of adoption here is slow if people think about how can I build my team in 10 years. But to be very honest, from a corporate perspective, it's not that bad to think about how can I deal with the problem I'll have tomorrow. And they're addressing that. So the ticking turnover time bomb, they call it, is one of the major issues. They're discovering how people are retiring and how staff actually gets impacted by AI. So interesting view from Bickhand on this report. One of the nice reports this week that I saw, and actually Richard Tromans from The Artificial Lawyer picked up, is headline, ChatGPT smart enough for contract review. We had this discussion last year all the time. We have it less and less, but it still comes up. How legal do solutions need to be, and is ChatGPT not just enough? Do you really need a legal specific AI assistant? Do you really need legal specific AI tools? The answer is yes, you do. The last mile is actually more complicated than we all thought. The GPT wrapper software is not a thing. Like we have proven to the market that it's more complicated than that. And there are several companies out there proving that there's a lot to do right on the last mile, focusing on lawyers. And if you're having a discussion whether we need legal chat assistants in legal, then turn around and think how many document management systems and matter management systems, practice management systems we have that are not SharePoint and basically Google Drive. Why do lawyers need specific things? Because they work differently than other people. Here you go, same is true for legal AI assistants. It's not the same. And Legal Sifter, startup in the extraction space, have made a report to basically figure out, can GPT actually do the work? I like this. They have gone through this and basically had a look whether this can be done. Richard Troman summarizes it in a good way. So there are a number of things that are not possible if you use ChatGPT. Number one thing, of course, is like you have zero transparency, really. If you do it, you're prompting all the time and it's incredibly annoying. No security data governance, of course, but also all the nitty-gritty details that you want to do with number one playbook in there and like playbook enforcement in there, it doesn't work. So have a look at the report. If you really get asked all the time, do you need a legal specific AI assistant, for example, for contract review? The answer is yes, you do, because ChatGPT won't cut it. Have a look at the report. It's a funny one to read. I can recommend it. After that, funny news from Germany. I have to tell you, after several hallucination highlights from around the world, we now have the first case in Germany. There is a lawyer that files a claim based on made-up cases. This is especially relevant because the claim is in family law and the sources of the claims are not just like wrong jurisprudence, which in Germany isn't even that relevant. You can, if you have the right like paragraphs right in your legal base and your regulations, and if you're good enough in citing those, you're good to go. They have some wrong jurisprudence in there, but number one thing that is quite astonishing is it makes up books, like entire books. Okay, like, of course, I'm riding the hype wave now by saying, oh, this is so bad, this is so bad. Actually, it is bad and aligns nicely with the story. And do you need a legal specific solution? Yes, you do, because you want to reduce hallucinations. But it also shows if you use ChatGPT just like in a brute force way for your legal work, yeah, there's a risk, of course. And these cases will be more and more. So now we have the first one in Germany. That's funny. There is a database, I don't know if you know that Damien Charlatan is collecting. Check it out, that actually selects AI hallucination cases around the world and puts them on a database. So if you want to know what's going wrong, now we have the first ones in Germany and he collects them here. While I do this, we have 206 cases identified so far. I'm sure we will be like probably tenfold in the next months. This is nothing but a mirror of AI adoption amongst lawyers. These things will happen. Talking about this, what can you do as a vendor? One example, just prevent it by giving people additional information. One example out of basically Brighter Labs. Remember that we published a global resource package 2 months ago, where we basically announced that Brighter and Beeman now have access to global case databases on jurisprudence and cases and regulatory information like laws and jurisdiction and laws and regulation. We publish that package also with an additional purpose, which is validate. So what we just announced last week is to now validate sources in Beeman. So when you use the Beeman chat, you'll get these little green check marks here that tell you this is a verified link. And if you click it, you'll get to the source of the case or the law, wherever it may be. So if you scroll through the results here, you will get all these verified links in here. This is also true for decisions. This can be quite helpful. If you click those, you open up case resources that will then give you the source detail. So I can recommend it. There are tools available to make your briefs foolproof, but I don't want to bash the people with the hallucinated legal briefs. Yes, it's wrong. It's not legal artist. This is not what you should be doing, but it's a proof of move fast, break things, try out things. As a lawyer, you should double check, of course, but this will be happening more and we just need to be smarter with the tools we use. Update from the world of non-tech. Perplexity launches an AI-powered web browser. That's quite interesting. I read the PR and followed up with, I think 6 hours after that news, they published their news that they also will publish a browser. I'm sure they had been planning the pipeline, and then after the news came out, they were immediately shooting behind that news. We will now go into the browser game. So after Chrome, this is an interesting one because we now get more in AI first tools. I will be curious to try that out and I see what the benefits are of this. Here's my prediction. There will be a browser for lawyers. It will come. Not sure if we really need to go that far in the last mile, making things specific for lawyers, but it will come. So let's have a look at this. My last thing to wrap up this week is an update from Germany's probably biggest summit so far in 2025, which was the Summit of Liquid Legal in Düsseldorf this week, where I had the pleasure to talk to a number of people that came around from London, some people from the US, some people from other countries, and of course some people from Germany. Liquid Legal Institute is a think tank focusing on the practice of law, innovation, AI, and tech. We had the pleasure of doing panels there. There was an open discussion. Of course, most important gossip is happening in between the meetings with people on the ground, where I had a funny discussion with a number of practitioners recurring on the billable hour, my favorite subject, which is why I bring it into our pod here this week. So the billable hour, will it go away? My best discussion about this was with 2 lawyers, big law firms, following up and also citing Mark Cohen's publication from last week. If you don't know it, have a look. It's published at Forbes. Mark is a Forbes contributor writing about the partnership model and the pyramid, basically leveraging first-year associates into the partnership model where the partners need the associates to actually get the billables to where they are, and where Mark thinks or predicts or at least like insinuates that with a increasingly scalable power in review and easy tasks and basically repetition being solved through AI and automation, you don't need the lawyers anymore that were the first-year associates. So the impact will come at the bottom. They will not come at the top, which I agree, actually. I don't think that AI will replace the experts and the people with the 30-year experience in the business. It will have an impact on the mundane task that is repetitive. And this is what we think first-year associates do, to some extent. other teams as well. So the big question is like, how will the pyramid that consists of course, like first year, second year, third year being leveraged, how will that be impacted? Mark's prediction here is very interesting. Have a look at the article. But the discussion at the Liquid Legal Summit was especially harsh or direct because people were more afraid. So I had conversations with people that were lawyers saying, we think this will have a tremendous impact. We think our job is too easy to not being automated. It's interesting, if you're the one who is a tech provider, in my case, Brighter Beeman, you have to argue the case that it's not going to be that fast, that you as the tech person are the one that has the conservative take. I enjoy that take, I have to say, because it also allows me to have a more it depends opinion versus being like, all lawyers are going to die. I also don't believe it, frankly, which we try to prove in this podcast. But the interesting thing is that the people that were actually impacted most were the ones that had the most, let's say, dark, like dystopian view on this. So lawyers will go away because, argument number one I heard, because the job isn't that complicated. Because our work is repetitive and way more repetitive than we think it is. It is more repetitive because our clients underestimate the simplicity of it. Argument number four, and this is like the most important one that I hear all the time, is because people benchmarked it to the available tools. Example, I did it, and then I did the same job using ChatGPT or whatever AI assistant they have, and it was basically the same result, even better, but faster and easier. So why don't clients just use that? Or why don't I use that and I'm faster? There was an interesting take from a big law partner arguing with Mark Cohen's case on the pyramid that frankly, the billable hour must go away because of the economic model of the big law firm not working anymore with the transition from pyramid to rocket and more diverse teams actually bringing tech out, which I found very interesting. However, people realize that change is there, but it's not that fast. In other words, we're not getting impacted by such a like big wave hitting us immediately, but it's actually rather slow. Because in-house teams at the conference confirmed that the speed of adoption, speed of rolling out AI systems is not that fast as in the law firms. There are regulatory hurdles in doing this. There is, of course, things like worker council and regulatory obstacles in Europe to do that. And as I mentioned in the beginning, people don't think about the impact of AI in legal teams, especially to basically just get user for external counsel fees, because you need people for insurance, you need to just handle the work, to have the expertise diverse in like different fields, IP, employment, commercial, litigation, M&A transactions, where you just outsource the work just because this is how you do it. So in short, the summary was lawyers think the work can really be replaced, and there was an almost unanimous view that there will be a big impact. And in these conversations I had, it was very interesting to see that the lawyers and the people in the space think that the impact is bigger than the tech providers themselves actually think. Look, if this is really the change that's happening, we're in the middle of it. Kudos, I'm up for it. I still think it's going to be slow, and I think we will have the time to adapt to this. But yes, I still think the billable hour is not going away. This is why we do this, to find this out. Now, we will have sequences from the conference where I spoke to some people about their view, listen to some feedback from the conference, and some voices from the streets of Liquid Legal Summit this year. So you want to hear this directly, have fun. I'm here with Dirk Schindler, Head of Legal Purchasing and Logistics from Robert Bosch. And you're also the co-CEO and one of the founders of Liquid Legal Institute.
Absolutely.
Nice. So 3 rapid fire questions for you, Dirk. Number 1, billable hour in the year 2030, will it be there?
There will be pockets where it makes sense, but mainly we will have different models, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. What's the main change we will see in the legal market in the next 5 years?
So in terms of billables, we will go much more into subscription models and retainer models. That's one. Second, artificial intelligence will pave its way very rapidly.
Nice. Thank you very much. And now my overhyped and underhyped question. What is one thing that is overhyped at the moment and one thing that is underhyped?
Overhyped, definitely prompt engineering.
Nice.
And underhyped, agentic frameworks.
Okay, I love it. Okay, very good statement. Thank you very much. And you have a great conference here. People like it.
Thank you.
I'm here with Zoe Andre. Zoe, you're basically the founder and definitely the CEO of Leaker.
Not
Tell us-
quite the founder.
But you're reinventing the company all the time, so you basically technically count as the founder, no?
Maybe yes. My father actually did found it 40 years ago, but yeah, I'm the next gen founder.
Yeah, you're the next gen founder. I think so. Tell me, what does Leaker do?
Basically, meta management, contract management, claims management, all in one platform, legal navigation system.
Great. 3 questions for you. Number 1, billables in 2030. Will they still be there?
Yes, the market is very slow in Germany, at least.
I agree. What has changed by then? 2030, 5 years. What is different in the legal market?
I hope that everyone does not only talk about AI again as 5 years ago, but that they actually implement certain tools and actually change the effectiveness and efficiency of their work, especially in law firms. I hope also for the in-house, they are our customers and that they can focus on the really complex work and automate the boring admin shit.
Okay, good, nice. So people actually have KPIs and they work towards like valuable outcomes.
Don't go to crazy KPIs. What is that? I don't think anyone knows.
Okay, nice, like it. So what's currently overhyped and underhyped? One for each.
Overhyped, agentic, the word agentic.
Okay.
Underhyped is actually in which form are the data nowadays? How accessible are they? And how can an AI of which sort of ever can actually access them and what is relevant in that space?
I like it. So you're basically saying data expertise and data hygiene.
Yep. And let's say maybe it should be digital.
Love it. Thank you. Take care, Zoe.
Thanks, man.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Philip Glock, who is a partner at KPMG Law, head of legal business services, and you're also the CTO of KPMG Law. But you're a lawyer because you're a partner. So, but you're also CTO. That's quite remarkable. Philip, 3 questions for you. Number 1, in the year 2023, will we still have billable hours?
Yes.
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 Nice. What has changed until then? Next 5 years, prediction, 2030.
I think there's going to be more productized legal services.
I like it. How much more?
I don't know, maybe 60%.
Wow. Okay. Good. More. 60% more, not 60% in total.
No, 60% overall.
Overall. Wow. So we go infinite scale.
Yeah.
Good. What is overhyped currently and what is underhyped?
I don't know, maybe overhyped is legal point solutions because I think when you look at the ordinary models, they're actually getting better and better. Underhyped maybe agents because that's going to change a lot.
I like it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yep.
This is it from the Liquid Legal Summit 2025. It was a really good conference. I enjoyed it very much. I think the team did a great job there in getting people together. Thanks for listening and see you again next week. Take care and goodbye.